In this video, we're going to write the equations of more linear functions, but we're going to look specifically at parallel and perpendicular lines. So in our first example, it says, write the equation of the line that passes through this given point, but it's parallel to this line. Well, one thing that we should know and that should jump out at us, that when I read the word parallel, what we're hearing is same slope, okay? So what we know is this line that we're writing the equation of is going to have the same slope as this line. So if this line has a slope of 2/5, that means our new line has a slope of 2/5. So we're writing, so I'll write like this, I'll say new line, it's got a slope of 2/5, and it also passes through, I'll abbreviate that with PT, it passes through the point -2.5 and 2. So really, if I can interpret all of this stuff given to us in the problem, what we're really doing is this, right? The equation that has this slope and passes through this point. So from there, I just think, we're just going to do point slope form in this video. So I'm going to do y minus y1 equals your slope times x minus x1. Y minus 2, which, because our y coordinate of the point we passed through is 2, equals 2/5 times x minus a negative 2.5. We have x minus the point, and our point's a negative 2.5. So once I kind of combine those, we have y minus 2 equals 2/5 x plus 2.5. We're going to leave it in point slope form for the purposes of this video. If you need to go slope intercept form, you just distribute the 2/5 and then add 2 to each side. Let's look at this example. Now, what it's saying is saying, okay, what about the perpendicular line? And so if you see perpendicular, you ought to be thinking opposite reciprocal slope. And what this basically means is flip it and change the sign. So if our given slope, so I'll say old or given slope, and that's going to be 2/5, that would mean that our new slope is, we're going to take the opposite, which means opposite sign, and reciprocal means flip it. So basically I'm going to flip it and change the sign. So now what we have is we're writing the equation line that has a slope of -5/2, and our new line passes through 1.5, 6.5. So if I go point slope form, y minus y1 equals your slope times x minus x1, we have y minus 6.5 equals your slope times x minus 1.5. Okay? And so that's really it. Once again, this is point slope form. If you want to go to slope intercept form, you could distribute the -5/2 and then add 6.5 to each side. Now, for these examples, I would suggest that you pause it and then try these on your own. But I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. Once again, we have a given point, and first we're writing the equation line that's parallel. Parallel means same slope, but what's the little wrinkle you're given in this problem, why it's slightly different, is we're not given the slope of this line. This line's in standard form. So what we got to do is we got to do a little background work to get the y by itself, because once I have that y by itself, now that I'm here, I've got that y by itself. I can see what my slope is. My slope is -2/3. That's our given slope. So what that means for us, what that means for us is if I'm writing an equation in point slope form, we figured out what the slope of our parallel line is. It's the same as the slope of the original line. So that means we've got -2/3 as our slope. And now all we got to do is substitute in our point. Be careful, this is going to be your x coordinate. So I'm going to substitute in right there. And then your y coordinate is going to go right there, and our y coordinate is 2. The last step of simplification is really small. I'm just going to combine those into addition. And there's your point slope form of the line. Now, we're going to do the same thing here, but we're going to go perpendicular. And so we're given the same equation in standard form. So we know that, if this is the standard form of the equation, that this would be the slope-intercept form, because we already did that work. That means the given slope's negative 2/3. So if I say the old, or the given slope is negative 2/3, that would mean our new slope equals the opposite reciprocal. I flip it, and then I change the sign from a negative to a positive. So what we have is we have a slope of 3/2. So I'm going to write my equation if I have my point slope form. We have our slope is now a positive 3/2. And then our given point is x1 and y1. So I'm just going to substitute those in real quick. And then your last step of simplification is kind of been that way for several of these problems. We're just going to change subtracting a negative into adding a positive. So this would be our perpendicular line. This would be our parallel line. The process is very similar, but here's what you got to remember. With parallel, the slope's the same. With perpendicular, you're going to do the opposite reciprocal slope.